morning all. How are we all doing? Morning. Sorry I'm a bit late this morning. I'm working on a new schedule. So I'm running late. 1 second. Let me just get everything organized. Right. How are we all doing? Everybody have a good weekend? Morning, Kennelly. Morning, Stevie, Diamond, John, Henry. It's time. Brian, Digital Solution. Morning. Rodrigo. How are we doing? Morning, Danny. So quick recap of last week and the results from Friday when we start off. Morning, Evans. So pretty good week last week. Just going to quickly whiz through all the strategies. So the ADR reversals. Where's my pen? Pen? There we are. Sorry, find it. So yeah, ADR reversals, we're sitting in 0.34% drawdown, 0.91 banked on Friday. So far today, 0.5%. All good. Hardly any drawdown anywhere. Still stuck in that New Zealand US. H1 M5 banked 1.24% on Friday. 0.42 banked so far today. And unfortunately, we're in green, which means we haven't got enough risk on, obviously, making too much money. So yeah, banked 1.24% Friday, 0.42 banked today. Probably going to bank that New Zealand yen by the looks of things as well. The H4 mean reversion strategy. Sitting in 0.38% of drawdown. Let's move all these over, don't I, so you can actually see them. I moved them all because I was doing screenshots for a blog post of the weekend. So H4 mean reversion sitting in 0.34% positive drawdown, 1.2% banked today, 1.64 banked on Friday. So that's all going well. It's probably going to bank some more on the New Zealand today as well. The New Zealand's been reverting. And the H1 hedging set file, that one basically sitting in 0.2% of drawdown, 3% banked on Friday, huge day Friday and Thursday, 0.5% banked today. So 19% on the month on the hedging set file, 11% on H4 M5 mean reversion, 15% H1 M5 mean reversion, and a measly 3.68% on ADRs, which is not a lot. Put it all together, it's a monster month. So all going well. Morning, Johannes. I got married the weekend on my way to the Maldives. Very nice. Is your wife happy about you being watching the stream while you're on your way to the Maldives after you've just got married? I think she's probably a bit upset. Morning, Baggy. Morning, Virginia. Morning, Gavin. Morning, Michael. I would be castrated if I was if I just got married and I was. Hang on a minute, I've just got this bloke on YouTube trades. Just going to watch him for the morning. Is that all right? Good luck. Morning, everyone. Right. Sorry. So that's the results from Friday. News today. The news is very light today. We've got 1:30. We've got Empire State Manufacturing. Just keep an eye on the time. We've got 3 minutes to the open. Empire State Manufacturing at 1:30 this afternoon. That doesn't tend to do an awful lot. It is a hit and miss news event, but nothing particularly exciting. For the week ahead, we've got the claimant counts tomorrow morning, which is unemployment related. For the pound, we've got CPI for the Canadian dollar on tomorrow afternoon. So that's the main news really this week, is the CAD CPI inflation figures. So that's what we got to focus on this week. We've got retail sales as well at the same time for the US. We've got Lagarde speaking a bit later on. Wednesday's a bit flat. We've got Bailey speaking in the wage price index for the Aussies, which again is very similar to the sort of claimant count. It's kind of related and around unemployment, but not the main focus. That's the main focus, the unemployment rate for the Australian dollar. That's on Thursday morning. We've got the unemployment claims for the US. It's all about employment this week on Thursday afternoon. And then we've got Powell speaking Friday, but that's it for Friday. We've got retail sales for CAD, which is hit and miss. So it's a bit of a light news week apart from tomorrow. So it's the CAD CPI figures. So market potentially has got the ability to move however the hell it wants this week. There's no real news that it's going to be waiting for. Apart from the Canadian dollar, they won't move much on the CAD, I wouldn't expect today until then. But yeah, so that's news coming up. Got 2 minutes to the open. Weekend-wise, not a lot of news over the weekend, particularly, that I could see. I had a quick scan through this morning. Royal Bank of Australia peak rate at 4.1%. We're at 3.85 at the moment. PPI for Japan, a little bit above forecast. Bank of England evaluates easing rules for lenders. Yeah, this is something to do with the housing market as well. It's going on in the UK, but anyway. G7 and EU to ban restart of Russian gas pipelines, which is, doesn't really affect us very much. Binance withdrawing from the Canadian markets. It's the end of crypto, everybody. So yeah, that's it. No other news. So nothing else exciting there. Right, let's have a look at the opening range breakout strategy this morning. So the DAX, we've got, we've started. I've missed it, sorry. There's your ORB on the pre-market. So that's your pre-market 15. There's your pre-market 5. If you've taken the pre-market opening range breakout, you are long. We have got a gap fill to the downside on the DAX. We also have, on the hourly chart, we still got that gap fill to the downside to do as well, down here. So there's a gap here from last month, basically, it's back in March, isn't it? We're in May now. So we've got that gap down there. We've got that little gap there as well. It's very rare that these gaps don't get filled. However, if we are shifting from a bear market to a bull market, which we are expecting at some point soon, that could be the gap that doesn't get filled. There's always going to be a move which starts, which you never get back to. Obviously, when things go down and up, there has to be an area where you don't ever retest it. Maybe it's there. We don't know. So, but there is that hanging over us down there as well. And we aren't able to break out of this range. So we're just coming back up to retest the highs of the range again on the DAX. So watch these levels. We're at previous day's high at the moment, which is this dotted line here. We've got last week's high and previous week's high just above us there. So we are running into resistance areas here. We've got these areas here, which we were just not interested in going above. It's the area there. So we had that price discovery push out the highs. They rejected that level at one. It's basically the big round number 16011. There is the high, but 16000. That's the rejection point. So we tried to retest it, failed. Came up, failed. Put in probably a good spot to start shorting it. Took my DAX off, didn't I? Just going to stick one on the DAX. Put that DAX off that I put on previously. Short. So I'm taking a short on the DAX. This is a longish trade. So literally, I'm in there. The stop's up there above that high. We're either going to come down, back down to the bottom of the range, or potentially go for that gap fill. Highly likely to go for that gap fill. Or we're going to slam out the top and I'll get stopped out. Pretty simple trade. Risk reward on it is whatever risk reward I get. But if you look at the lows, so stops up there. Where have I put my stop? 16015. Basically there, look. Funnily enough, exactly where that is. So yeah, basically stops there, entry there, get out somewhere down there. Rejection at the previous day's high on the DAX. So your opening range breakout pre-market, you probably got tight, just about 1.5 bar to the upside, but you probably would have stopped out a break even on it if you didn't take it up there. So I'd be looking for shorts on a breakout of that low. How long we got? 56. Oh no, sorry. 1 minute to go on this candle. So this is going to be your 5-minute opening range. And then we'll see if we get that gap fill done. Looks like a good little short to me. Right, that's DAX. Morning, Jacob. Morning, Dreska. Morning, Andrew. Morning, Steve. How are we all doing? Sunny. Andrew's got a sunny face, which is good. Here it's not. It's cloudy as hell. Right, so that's the DAX covered. ORB. We'll just wait for that candle to close. Just so you know, I'm going to start with the live streams. I'm going to change the format of them slightly. Morning, George. Thanks for the follow, Kim. Welcome aboard. I'm going to change the format of these. I'm just doing a new holding screen at the moment for the stream starting, just to explain it. But basically, what we're going to do every morning is going to just want to get this basically a little bit more organized. So we're going to follow a set schedule every morning. Which is basically, I'm not going to start waffling about anything until we've got through the schedule, basically. So I want to try and keep it organized. So some people have been feeding back through Telegram that they find it really hard to find anything in the streams, which I can understand. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do a session where we're going to have basically the first 10 minutes is literally going to whiz through the results of the strategies that I trade, as I've just done this morning. Then we're going to look at the news, as we just done this morning. Then we're going to do the opening range breakout strategy, as we're doing now. Then we're going to go straight into ADR reversals, cover all the ADR reversal opportunities today. We're going to cover all of the RSI extension opportunities today. And then we'll go into whatever. So what I want to do is keep all the content that everybody really wants, which is the analysis, the results, all the good stuff, right up at the front of the stream, and try and get through it all within sort of 15 minutes, half an hour. So then the people that basically come in and out of the stream and watch the replays, which is a lot of people watch the replays of the streams rather than actually being here because they can't make it. They get everything condensed at the front and they know exactly where everything is. So that's the plan anyway. But if there's anything else you want in the stream, let me know. But I've got a section basically after we've done all the analysis. It's pretty much what we do every day, but I want to try and keep it organized, if you like, rather than going off on tangents all the time. So what we tend to do is we go into the RSI analysis. We do the first 2 or 3, someone asks a question, and then we fly off for half an hour talking about something. The poor old people that are watching the replay going, I just want to know what's going to go on with the US dollar yen. You're not going to get there until the end because it's at the bottom. They have to wait and wade through an hour and a half of stream to try and find the US dollar yen analysis. So that's the plan anyway. Morning, Neo. So there's your 5-minute opening range. DAX is still pushing on the upside at the moment. So we'll see how we hold up on these highs. I approve, the whipping post says. That's good. So you're triggered long on the ORB on the 5-minute if you're taking the 5. Right. So following that format, we shall go on to the ADR reversals next. I can never say your name. Great filibuster. Hit the like button. Good man. ADR reversals. So ADRs are currently flat. And this is another thing why I'm trying to get this all done in a nice scheduled format. Because if ADRs are flat, we just move straight onto RSI. So all the analysis gets done really fast at the front of the session. And then if there's nothing else to talk about, the sessions will also be a lot shorter, which is good. So then people can go off and get on with stuff rather than sitting here with me waffling on. So ADR reversals. We've got nothing today so far. Everything is totally flat. Weeklies, obviously, it's the first day of the week. I'm not going to get any weeklies. You can't see that because my head's in the way. And that's another thing. I want to move my head. Where should my head go? Because I'm finding it very difficult to find somewhere to put my head. Maybe I should turn my head off when we're doing the analysis and stuff. Don't need to see me, do you? Got another layout. That one. What's that? Hang on. That's recording layout. What's that one? Ah, there we go. What I'll do is I'll duplicate that layout and then I will have no head. You have to remind me to turn my head off though. So yeah, ADR reversals, ADRs. We haven't got any. Actually, what I should do is just put the dashes there, shouldn't I, really? And then I can flick between the dashes like that. That makes more sense. And everyone can see them, can't they? Stay there. There we go. That's easier, isn't it? Right, ADRs. We're learning. Right. So there aren't any today, no weeklies. There's nothing on the monthly yet, which is interesting. So we are 15 days into the month. We're halfway through the month, and we haven't got any monthly ranges hit yet at all. So you can see it's been quite a quiet month so far. We've had some big days in there. We've had some big ADR days, but not that many. So we haven't actually managed to make any progress on the monthlies at the minute. There isn't really anything that's getting particularly close on the monthlies either, because we've had quite a lot of movement in one direction and that's all been undone. So it's a little bit of a quiet one at the minute. So we'll see what happens today. We could well, because we've got no news today, we could well have a nice, big, strong day today. But we'll see. So at the moment, very, very quiet. So moving on to the RSIs. At the moment, there's not that many RSI extensions either. Sorry, I just realised I got those lines. It's because I'm on that time frame. So yeah, RSIs at the moment, we haven't got particularly that many to look at. So we'll start off with the hourlies today. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. That's extended on the hourly. So Aussie, New Zealand, as you can see, oops, we're just coming out of the extension at the moment. So we're just above the 70 level there. So for a mean reversion perspective, that is your high of last week. As you can see, Friday, basically, this is why we've got no monthlies at the moment, because of this type of price action. So from Monday last week, we just went down, 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 down. Friday undid the lot. So all we did was we came back up to exactly where we were previous day. So if you look at this on a weekly chart, that's what we look like. Reversal candle. So we're sitting up at last week's high at the moment. We've got propulsion targets to the upside. We've got propulsion targets to the downside. I've got one short on this at the moment on the H1 M5 mean reversion. We're extended last week on Friday, so that was where the entry was on Friday there. So dropped down onto M5. Reversal alert last Friday was in there. That was the initial one. Then we got invalidated a couple of times. We just went sideways basically for the whole of the afternoon session on Friday. So that's a good looking short opportunity. Hourly, 4 hourly. Looks good for continuation short. So big drop down, pull back. We're looking for that continuation leg. So what we're doing at the moment really is potentially we are starting a contraction pattern. So we're coming into basically some kind of symmetrical triangle break, which normally you would expect because we are bearish for it to be a symmetrical triangle break to the downside. So Aussie New Zealand looks good for shorts to me. Hourly RSI extension only just extended over there though, so nothing particularly huge. US dollar yen is the only other one on the hourly we've got. So that one's just starting to play out now out of this propulsion gap. So there was your RSI extension. Didn't quite get extended enough for me to get an entry on that one. Just watching the DAX. Let's see what the DAX is up to. Not a lot. Exactly where we were basically on the DAX. 5-minute opening range break hasn't gone anywhere. It's just sitting sideways. So it's just starting to pull back down now. So you may well get a break to the downside and come down and get this gap fill done. So US dollar yen, that one's already played out. You've missed it if you're not already in it. Your 5-minute reversal alert was there. There's your entry. We have retested as well. So that's good for shorts on the US dollar. Lots of propulsion gap targets to the downside here within an ADR. So quick in and out today, hopefully. I have just taken a US dollar short on the Feudal Crest account. I've just taken this one manually because I can't use EAs on that account. So I am short, looking to get out within an ADR though. Quick scalp trade. Failing that, obviously, you'd be looking for it to come back up into ADR and potentially into last week's high, which is here, and take second position to get out when it drops. So that looks pretty good. US dollar yen. We've got, oops, wrong one. We've got euro US dollar extended on the 4-hour. So your 4-hour RSI extension. So this one's interesting. It's coming back for a pullback into the 72 moving average at the moment. So these are the daily moving averages of 24.72, which is your quarterly and monthly moving averages. So potentially we are nicely extended on the 4-hour here, as you can see. So every time we get down into this area, we start a pullback. Yeah. So if you just standard RSI back testing, you can see every time we get extended, the market is extended. It needs a profit take move. And that's exactly where we are now. So euro, we are expecting bullish movement based off of the last interest rate rise being as expected, with the market having factored in a little bit more. The ECB have come out and said we've definitely got more rate rises coming. So we should be seeing bullish price action on the euro. US dollar, potentially, we're going to start to see some bearish price action coming in because we've hit terminal rate, or we expect to have hit terminal rate. This is obviously going to be dependent on what happens moving forward with banks and all sorts of other things. But at the moment, we should see some sideways movement, stroke weakness, potentially starting to creep into the US dollar. So this is a good looking long opportunity and exactly where you would want to be taking along. I've got this long already on the Feudal Crest account as well. So looking basically, I haven't got a target. I don't use targets. So we'll see where we get to. But propulsion gap targets to the upside on the hourly, there's lots, as you can see. So where we are at the moment, this is potentially where we may push down to with another leg to get these propulsion gap targets done, and obviously the last month's support. So that is also ADR. So, you know, today, if we get a long rally on the US dollar, that would be ideal. If we can get an ADR hit on that today, that's a beautiful double bottom potential. You've also got the previous low there, which is a nice little backup. So initial entry there, you can see I've got one on already, which is on the H1 RSI 5-minute extension, 5-minute reversal alert on the H1 RSI extension. If it goes straight away, brilliant. If it doesn't, second entry, third entry, and just wait. If it gets all the way down to there, basically, which is that potential support, without having done any kind of profit take move, obviously that'll be ripe for a big pushback up. But potentially that's got a good opportunity for a long. So H4 extension, no reason why, in theory, you can't just target these highs or last week's high. You know, there's every potential this is going to fly out the top. So there's a potentially good looking long-term trade there. Euro US dollar, pound US dollar, very similar. That's just pulled back into the 24.72 zone. So nice big RSI extension. Again, looking for that pullback, which is what we tend to get when we get extensions on the RSI. Yeah. So we are extended at the moment. Pound should also be bullish because the rates on the pound didn't go up more than expected. And we have got, again, Bailey saying there's potentially more increases, although we are starting to look like we might slow down a little bit in the pound with interest rates where they are on inflation over 10% still, though, I can't see it. So pound potentially still bullish movement. And if the pound, we're increasing interest rates as the US is dropping them, that will fly. We're not expecting the US to drop interest rates, but the Fed do change their mind very regularly. So all we're doing at the moment is a couple of little flag breaks. So potentially there is further legs down into last month's support. So again, it's very much the same as the euro US dollar, looking for long opportunities on it. 5-minute reverse alert you've already had this morning in Asia. So yeah, good looking long opportunity there. You can take it on M15. I don't think you've had, you just had the 15. Oh, no, you haven't. Sorry. No. Yeah, sorry, you have had the 15. 15 was pretty much in the same place, very tiny. You can hardly see it. So the reversal was this morning as well on the 15-minute on that one. So nicely extended. Good opportunities on that one. DAX has just broken the 5-minute opening range to the downside. No, sorry, it hasn't. That's your opening range candle there. Very, very slow DAX this morning. It's not all we've done is literally push out and sit sideways. So nothing exciting going on with DAX. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Also extended on the 4-hour. Again, just started to roll over. I've got 2 positions on this one on the H1M5 strategy. First one taken there, second one taken there. A little bit of drawdown control done on Friday on this one. So again, dropping down M15. Reversal alert was on Friday. Good looking opportunity for a long. It is very, very sideways, New Zealand US. New Zealand dollars had really good run of strength and really big run of weakness as well. And the US dollar's kind of done exactly the same, but at the opposite time. So it's done the opposite thing at the same time. So all we've had is a range out of this. So the range is nice and big and then obviously contracted a little bit more. We're approaching the lows of the range as well. So good spot to get in long. Wouldn't expect a massive amount of movement out of this though. So when you're looking at getting out of it, obviously, possibly retest those highs. This is either a pullback on a long or this is the start of a down leg. So looking at where you're potentially going to the upside, these propulsion targets may act as a next leg down and it might come back and do these later. So just, whenever you're getting out of a trade, I'm always looking for the nearest propulsion targets as kind of where we should easily reach. If we don't manage to get to there for any reason and it comes down further, it's going to leave more propulsion targets in its wake. So you just then readjust your target and move it back down into that one there. So push back up into there, for example, if it pushed down and made a new propulsion target there. So nicely extended on the 4-hour. We've just come out of the hourly extension, which is why I'm in it already. So that one looks good. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. US dollar CAD, US dollar yen. So we've looked at US dollar yen on the hourly. Yeah, so that was extended on the hourly. It's rolling over now. And on the 4-hour, we're just about extended as well. So up in a nice propulsion target for potentially a drop. We got this big one down here. There's a target to the downside. So yen, very tricky at the moment to decide what's going on with the yen. They keep saying we need to do something, but we're not going to increase our interest rates. Maybe we will, maybe in the next year and a half, but we're not sure. So you can't read into the yen exactly what they're doing at all. Business as usual. They will suddenly intervene if they fancy it. So at the moment, very hard to call a direction on it from a fundamental perspective. So take whatever you want. RSI extension at the moment is to the upside, so look for shorts. When it gets extended to the downside, look for longs. Exactly what I've been doing here. You can see the last few trades here. We had a short there. We had a short there. We had a short there. Short there. And a long there. All working. Just mean revert it. Just keep mean reverting it. There's no real directional bias on them at all. So, and US dollar CAD is the only other 4-hour. So 4-hour RSI extension on that one. I've got 2 shorts on at the moment. One there from the hourly. RSI extension on the 4-hour, nice and big, just up at the 75 level. That's rolled over beautifully so far this morning. US dollars are looking weak. DAX has broken to the downside opening range. So there's your RRB to the downside. Looks like the gap fill is in play on that. So US dollar CAD, M15 reverse alert was this morning in Asia, and the retest as well. So there's your M15 reversal alert, and your M5 was pretty much in the same spot. So good looking shorts on those, but they've all kind of started to play out. So if you're using the market reversal alerts EA, obviously you're in them anyway. But targets to the downside, 150 ADR. We've still got this propulsion gap which isn't completed. This is where they've started to sell. So pushing back up. If you remember, I said last week that's where we'd be looking to get up to. We got a little bit further than that. So now coming back down into there. Long term, very difficult to call. US dollar CAD. These two move together like the euro and the pound and the Aussie and the New Zealand and the euro and the Swiss. So you get a lot of range bound activity on them. That's basically what we've got at the moment. Right now, we're kind of bang in the middle of range high and range low. So very difficult to call a direction on it, but we will see. Likely, DAX is really coming down nicely. So just testing the pre-market lows. So oil is one of the main drivers for the Canadian dollar. Friday, on oil, we had another down day. Wasn't particularly big, but it was another down day. So we've come back down into this propulsion gap. We've got this tiny little one here. That one's filled. Not sure why that's even still painted. Good. So yeah, we've got that little one down there. Massive propulsion target back up to the upside on oil. But the question is, are we going to hold this low? So if the market structure, if the peak formation low is in here, and that is our new high, we were expecting this to be our new higher low, ready to put in a higher high. So if that's the case, we shouldn't invalidate this low, in which case then this is where we should be looking for long opportunities. So right where we are now is pretty much where I would say, if you're going to look at this being the start of the next leg up, this is where you want to be getting in, isn't it? Come up and retest those highs as part of that movement. So looks really good, oil, which means strong Canadian dollar. So when you're looking at US dollar CAD, down, because the Canadian dollar will be strong, US dollar weak, therefore US dollar CAD short. Buy a scorecard, however, you look at all the fundamentals, US dollar CAD is a big buy at the moment. We've got retail at the moment all shorting it, as I am, which would indicate that the market is more likely to push on it. COT positioning is all long. Fundamentals are all bullish, US dollar against the CAD. So, you know, it's a long bias. And as you can see, I got into a bit of a messy long, started here, which got out of there, and a bit of a messy short there actually as well. It's the movements are very protracted on this pair at the minute. So where we are at the minute, being bang in the middle, it's very, very difficult to call a direction on it. But the fundamentals point more to a long than a short on it. So do as you wish with that one, but that's it. So there's your ADRs, nothing. There's your RSIs covered, nothing. There we go. So that's your analysis for the morning done. Ta-da! That was quick, wasn't it? So afternoon, Tom. Afternoon, good morning, whatever. Morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Yeah, there's your analysis. So anybody got any other pairs they want to look at? Let me know. Or anything else they want to discuss. Because that's really all I've got for you this morning. I'm not going to go through anything else in particularly more detail. But if there's any stuff you want to discuss on strategies, on drawdown control, anything from the position trading bootcamp, let me know, because that's what this section is going to be about, basically, moving forward, is just covering any other business, if you like. DAX got some very nice wicks to the upside on the DAX. So potentially looking for a gap fill. Looking good. Anybody got any other pairs they want to have a look at this morning? Do you look at NASDAQ, S&P in the afternoon session? Yes. There's no point in trading the US indices in the morning, because the US indices move in the afternoons. Steve, gold. Gold. Arr. Don't know why I'm being a pirate. Gold. So gold's bang in the middle of nowhere. Look. Where we are at the minute, just not interested. Stuck sideways. We have been stuck sideways since last Monday, really. So all we did off the back of the news on Friday the week before was pull back and then push down again. So I mean, like, this is why we've got no monthlies at the moment. We're entering the third week of the month, third proper trading week of the month. All we've done this month really is push up and pull down. And last week we pushed up, pulled back. Everything's just doing that at the minute. We're not going anywhere. So there's no RSI extensions on it. Targets to the upside at the moment and targets to the downside at the moment. But look at ADR. Yeah, the only targets you've got are within ADR, within half an ADR pretty much. So, flip a coin on it really today. There's not really anywhere to go. So flip a coin, heads or tails, go that direction. If it doesn't work out, scale in, scale out. There you go. That's my analysis on gold. Really no idea where it's going at the moment. It's anybody's guess. We have got these downside targets as well, which it makes more sense for it to come down. But that needs a US dollar strength. And I don't know that we're going to get much US dollar strength at the moment. Just had a bit of a, excuse me, little bit of a gappy move on the DAX. We just got a load of buyers suddenly step in before the gap fill. So market structure at the moment, though, what I'm anticipating is that gap fill done. We're so close, might as well do it. I say so close, might as well do it. As if the banks are talking, listening to me. Sarel de Jaguar. Good name. Question, please. Does the market structure reversal EA also show the signals on the charts? Yep. So the market reversal alerts EA draws everything as well, but you don't use it for a visual aid. The EA is to trade. Yeah. So don't try and use it as an indicator. It won't work. So you can see this is the ADR reversal set file. So you can see it's drawing. It draws the reversal alerts and the retests, and it draws in the ADR levels as well. But you can't use it as an indicator. You can use it as an indicator if you want to, but bear in mind, this is an EA. It's designed to be put on a chart, left on a chart, and left alone. Don't touch it. If you start touching it and mucking about, if you switch timeframes, it reinitializes the EA. If it's stored things like drawdown control distances and things, which it stores in the memory, as soon as you reinitialize it, that memory starts again. So if you start flicking timeframes, changing instruments and stuff, it won't work. You can use it if you want to as an indicator. So you can have the EA not in trading mode. You can put it into alert mode. If you put it into alert mode, obviously all it will do is it will alert and it won't ever take any trades. But then my question would be, why on earth would you use this and not use the indicators if you're going to trade manually? But you can do. It can do that if you want to. Gold covered Swiss yen, Virginia. Swiss yen. Right, so Swiss yen. We're bang in the middle of nowhere at the moment on the Swiss yen. a little bit higher than lower, obviously, and the market structure at the moment is very nice as a short. So potentially this is where we're coming down from. So all these yen pairs potentially, from a market structure perspective, all look like they're good shorts. But, you know, we're only playing within the range of the last 2 weeks at the moment. So all propulsion gaps to the downside are done. We've got the little ones to the upside at the moment, and tiny little ones to the downside. So there's not really anywhere, I would say, on this chart that you can say, yes, this is a long or a short. We've had a lot of weakness in the yen. So they are all due. If you look at all the yen pairs, they've all been pushed against. So everything has pushed up against the yen. So it would make sense that the yen is going to start to push back. But if it's only going to be a pullback, which is quite likely, you've kind of done it, haven't you? So if you look at all of these yens, if we're going to do continuation and market structure, you're not going to want to invalidate that low or that low. You're going to want to go from here. So they all look a little bit more long than short, but they could go either way. So as you can see on here on the Aussie dollar yen, EA took a long, was out, took a short, was out, took a long, was out, took another long, was out, took a short, was out, took a short, was out. Go either way. Doesn't matter at the minute, I don't think, on these yen pairs. There's no real massive strong bias either way with any of the yens. From a fundamental perspective, they're always going to look long because the interest rates are negative 0.1 on the yen. So everything is going to have higher interest rates and better interest rate changes than the yen. So you're always going to be a +2 on everything yen. COT positioning is most of it is long against the yen. Retail at the moment are all shorting it because it's been pushing. So they're trying to short it. Therefore, the market is pushing up. So everything looks a little bit long on it. So I'll be looking more for longs than shorts, but there's nothing, I would say, you definitely do not want to be longing or shorting against the yen. It's all fine. So mean reversion, perfect. But the Swiss yen right now, there's no signals on it. So the last entry would have been there, long. Last entry, again, you had another couple of longs here. And last short entry was up there. Right now it's flat. Morning, Alan. Morning, Jeffrey. US dollar Swiss. So US dollar Swiss is coming up into the highs. So we've got 3 nice highs here. We've got last week's high, previous week's high, 3-week high. That's another previous high. That's probably 5-week high up there. You can't see it behind my head. So yeah, there's a zone. There's a zone here. Obviously. So yeah, all these areas look good basically for potential resistance to short this, which is why I say, you know, it's probably a little bit more of a short than a long at the moment, the US dollar. Coming back down into these propulsion gaps. That was a nice retest. That's 125 ADR. It's Friday's low. So yeah, looks better as a short, but again, not really a very strong signal. We got a 70 RSI extension on that on Friday. So you would have got in on a short on Friday up here somewhere, depending on when the RSI got extended. Oh, the hell. No. Depending on when the RSI got extended, you probably would have been in there just about. That wouldn't have been an entry. That wouldn't have been an entry. So yeah, so the only reversal on Friday was there, and that was marginal. Just about got an alert there. Just. There was your alert this morning. So you'd have been in short from either there or there on US dollar Swiss. If you're playing 70 RSI on Friday. But right now, it's not really ripe for anything. For me, more short than long, obviously, as you can see. And there's no reason why this shouldn't continue. Swiss franc is going to rally with the euro. DAX is just pulling up Ready for a reversal? High, low, lower, high. That felt short. So yeah, the euro should continue to push with interest rate increases. Inflation's doing well. Everything's going the right way for the euro. So the Swiss franc will move with the euro. Obviously, Swiss franc strength means euro Swiss short. And potentially sideways to weakness on the US dollar. So this is exactly where I'd be looking for an entry short in a trend, is on a 24.72 bounce. Exactly where we are now. So look at it on the 4 hour. Look for these lows to get invalidated. Not that one, this one. Which is 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago's low. Looks good. Shorts. Pirate gold. It's always in the middle of nowhere. Good one. So I'm reading chat. I didn't just go into pirate mode there for no reason. I'm reading chat. We're talking about gold. Could we please have a look at Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar? Aussie New Zealand is almost extended on the 4 hour. So I've got a short on this at the moment, just the one. Looking for this to continue to the downside. So we put in a new higher low there. And we just about put in a higher high. So in theory, you would say that the market structure on this is now potentially doing that. So low, high, higher low. Next comes a higher high. However, this is more of a range for me. And if you look at it and scale out, you'd be looking at this being a short. We've already done Aussie New Zealand, so you obviously just missed the beginning. But yeah, hourly RSI extension was on Friday. That was the entry on Friday. So my entry is there, this red line. And 15-minute reversal alert today you could take. 5-minute, going to be the same spot. So it's extended as of Friday. Short. Have you looked at Euro New Zealand? No, don't think so. So just got out of the longs on the Euro New Zealand on Friday. Again, Euro long. So this was a massive RSI extension. So that there was your initial entry. If you were trading the 4-hour RSI extension, that would have been your initial entry there, which is where the hourly RSI extension was as well. And then we came down and we got massively embedded. So we had from that drop there. So this was basically last Thursday was the Euro rates. It collapsed. Sorry, the week before, wasn't it? The Euro rates. It collapsed and then it continued to collapse. We weren't expecting it. So that was a profit take move on that or that, one or the other. So if you measure this move, it's either a 50% retracement or a 38 retracement, depending on where you draw your fib from. So there's your 38. Or if you're thinking, no, I'm looking at it from the most recent move, that one, it's your 50. Yeah. So there's your 50 retracement and that 38 retracement. So it's a 38 or it's a 50. Either way, it's potentially a pullback on a new continuation short. However, that's going to require the New Zealand dollar to be strong. No reason why it should be, particularly at the moment. And it's going to require the euro to continue to be weak, which it shouldn't be because the interest rates have just gone up and they've said they're going to continue to increase interest rates. So it should be strong. I always say the word should because this is the Forex market and it does whatever the hell it wants. But from a fundamental perspective, it's a long. So you're looking at basically this being a pullback on a long move, I think. So if you look at it on the 4 hour, it's just basically a pullback on this move. Look. So market structure is low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. No reason why this shouldn't continue exactly as it is. So yeah, we're looking for longs. I am long. No, I'm sorry, I'm short at the moment on this RSI extension. So if it doesn't pull back into these propulsion gaps and then kick off from there, I shall be scaling in as we go up and then get out on a pushback down. It's very orderly, this pair. it moves lovely. You always get very good movement on any euro zone pair against an Australasian pair, because what you tend to find is during the London session and the New York session, the euro, the US, the Swiss, the pound, and the Canadian dollar all get rallied. And then during the Asian session, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the yen all get rallied. So if you get a big strong day in one direction on the euro, when the euro goes to sleep, the New Zealand dollar takes control. And then when we wake up for London, the euro takes control. Then they go to sleep, the New Zealand dollar takes control, which is why you get lovely market structure against European and Australasian pairs, because you've got a push and a pull effect always in action with two different zones. Whereas with the things like the euro and US dollar, they're pushing against each other constantly all the time. And then during Asia, they go flat because there's no market movement. Both markets are shut. So you're always going to get good movement on it. But right now it's a short. However, long term, probably more of a long. Not very helpful, is it? But you know how I trade RSI extensions. So it's a short at the minute. There you go. It's silver shorts out of the money, now in new longs. Sorry, it's silver shorts out of the money, now in new longs. I'm still in 2 shorts in silver out of the money, but got out of a couple of positions Friday. Now 2 new longs as hitting good support. Properly hedged. So gold and obviously silver will look very similar. Actually, no, they don't, do they? Silver looks very different. Look at that. So silver's got downside targets. Yeah, so silver's moving quite differently, isn't it, to gold at the moment? They are different markets. Metals tend to move very similarly, but obviously because they're US dollar crosses, so they're getting pushed and pulled with the US dollar. When there's not a lot of movement in the US dollar, obviously they use their own momentum. So at the moment, because the US is a little bit flat, we've got lots of difference in movement there. So looks good up into there. Also looks good down into there. Right now, you're bang in the middle of the two. Hedged is probably the right thing to be. One of them is going to win. Deal with one that loses. Whipping post. There's a few propulsion gaps below the price in the Euro New Zealand. Yeah. So that's what I'll be targeting. I'm looking for half an ADR, so looking for 76 pips. ADR today is 73. 125 ADR is 108. So if we get pushed down towards that propulsion gap there, I'll be out of this short. The EA will get me out of the short, rather. DAX is just about to test the low of the session. So if we get that low broken, we're off the gap fill land. Lucas, which prop firm works with which EA from you at its best? The prop firm's got nothing to do with the EAs. Prop firms are prop firms. Nothing. There's no prop firm that works better with an EA. EA prop firm is the market. EA trades it. Yeah, there's no. If you want to compare prop firms, go onto the website, go to Trader Funding, and there's a comparison here. I'll put a link in the chat. There's a comparison there to all the prop firms. Well, I say all the prop firms. I can't give a comparison to all the prop firms because there's thousands of them, new ones coming up every week, but they're mostly all crap and they all disappear very, very fast. These are the largest, most established prop firms in the market. So these are the ones, in my opinion, you want to be using. So there's a comparison here. There's no reason to use any but these. There isn't any other prop firm out there that hasn't got rules very similar to these guys, and these guys are all the biggest established ones. So, you know, people constantly throwing new prop firms at me all the time. Have you heard of this one? No, but if they're not better than them or them from a monetary perspective or a rules perspective, why would you not use the biggest firms in the industry? Same as when people say, who's your broker? Robo Forex. Why don't you use so-and-so? Because Robo Forex has been established for 15 years, are international, absolutely huge, more money than God behind them. Why would you want to use someone else? But what about this little firm that's just started a year and a half ago based out in the Maldives? Why would I want to use them? I'm going to use a big firm. It's like saying, I'm going to get a mobile phone. I'm going to use ABC123 mobile phone company that started 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to bother using 3, Vodafone or O2 that have been established for years and are the largest providers in the country. I'm going to use this tiny little firm. No point. So these are the biggest prop firms out there. There's a comparison. Just go and check them out. Whichever one you want, pick one. They all do the same thing. They all have rules. They all have targets to hit. They all have maximum loss limits and daily loss limits. Some allow EAs, some don't. Some pay you out faster than others. Some of them have max days, some of them don't. Some of them have minimum days, some of them don't. They're all the same. They will try and trip you up in one way to get the reevaluation out of you. Just broken new lows on the session for the DAX. So your ORB to the short is the one to be on at the moment. Excuse me. Water. Silver is an old conspiracy theory. Sold all my physical holdings. Glad I did. Silver, the only reason you need silver is if there's werewolves around, because you need to make bullets. Other than that, gold. Is euro still likely to be a little stronger than the Swiss franc? As still long multiple positions on euro Swiss. Well, the euro and the Swiss will move very similarly. So they're different. They move differently based on overall market conditions. So the Swiss franc is a safe haven. So when we get problems with the banking sector, for example, we get money flying into the Swiss franc and the yen a lot, and the US dollar quite often, depending on where the banks are, obviously. If we have any problems with anything like wars, whatever, money moves out of the stock market and it needs somewhere safe to go. The Swiss franc is one of the safest places because you know you've got stability there. So the Swissy will strengthen with the euro. So if the euro powers up, the Swissy powers up. Quite often the Swissy will be a little bit stronger than the euro because it's got more money flowing through it that stays in it. So you tend to find it can be stronger. But if you've got multiple positions on, so I presume you're in probably from there. I got out of that one there. So if you missed your exit on it, you're probably in, again, somewhere down here. You've got your monthly low coming up. So if we get down to that, monthly low, that's where I'd start to put aggressive drawdown control positions on to get out. But right now, you know, it's not had any real strength of movement since that move down from there, which was 2 weeks ago. But I mean, there's lots of targets to the upside on it. You know, you suddenly get a rally on the euro. You need to make sure you take advantage of it. Really, so. Lucas, sorry, where are we? Khaled, is NQ looks shortable now? I don't know. NASDAQ, you trade the NASDAQ in the afternoon. NASDAQ's shut. It's in the Globex at the minute. So I don't do analysis on it long term on indices. Indices are, in my opinion, for scalping. So your tombstone, leave the flowers, go to the website. Oh, silver you're talking about, I guess, still. Lucas, with which strategy you normally work to get the challenges done? Just trading, Lucas. There is no strategy to get the challenges done. If you think there's a strategy out there or an EA out there that's going to just continuously pass prop firm challenges for you, it doesn't exist. Yeah, I took £250,000 evaluations with Feudal Crest 2 weeks ago. One of them failed in 3 days. The second one, I'm sitting here in 6.1% profit. Both running the same strategy, position trading, mean reversion. It's totally down to the market whether you pass or fail a strategy, a prop firm evaluation. And you can put the ORB EA on there and it will pass with flying colours 1 week and it will fail the next week. Put the market reverse alerts EA on there. I mean, look at the results of the market reverse alerts EA strategies. Yeah, 4% on the ADR strategy this month. 2 months ago, this did over 30%. We're sitting in 4% this month. Same strategy, nothing different, different time period, different result. Market moves up and down. You've got no control over that. So when you start an evaluation, will determine whether or not you pass or fail it, not your strategy. Hourly mean reversion, 15%, sitting in 0.5 drawdown. Passed. H4 mean reversion, 11%, sitting in 0.61 profit. Pass. H1, 1.95, sitting in 19% this month. However, that has been way above 5%. That's been above 10% this month so far. Fail. Yeah. Run it on your own account. Happy days. Mortgage paid. Run it on a prop firm. You're dead. There is no strategy out there. You have to trade. Use a combination of EA and yourself. You are the trader, not the EA or the strategy. Does anyone on here have to show the latest bank statements or broker just to withdraw money? Does anyone on here have to show a latest bank statement to the broker to withdraw money? No. Pepperstone. Pepperstone are a big established broker. Why would you need to show your bank statement? Oh, you need to show. You need to prove who you are for money laundering. Yeah. So you have got to go through money laundering with every. That's not just Pepperstone. That's every broker. You've got to go through an identification process. Probably what you're finding is if you're trying to draw money out, Pepperstone's process is probably not to take you through the vetting process first, to vet you after, because you can't launder money without a deposit and a withdrawal. So what they might do is allow you to deposit without proving who you are. If you want to get that money back out again, you've got to prove it, which is totally normal. Tim, we'll talk of the Swiss joining NATO or to the Swiss franc being a safe haven in the long term. No, the Swissy. The reason the Swiss franc is a safe haven is because they are really, really stable. So if you look at the rates on the Swiss franc, yeah, go back 10 years. Right, so this is the last 10 years interest rates on the Swiss franc, right? So we're sitting at 0. Then we dropped in 2015 to minus 0.75. We sat there all the way through until this year, and now we've gone up to 1.5. Yeah, this is the reason the Swiss franc is a safe haven, because it's safe. It's not got stupid economic factors that drive it. The main thing the Swissy is known for is for the Swiss banking system, for the safe place to put your currency. So a lot of money moves through the Swiss franc. If I have 20 million US dollar, right, and something's going on in the US, and I'd think, I don't know what to do with this. I don't want it kept in the US dollar. I need it somewhere else. I'm not sure where I want to put it yet. I don't know if I want to invest in tech, in medical. I don't know whether I want to stick it in the pound. I have no idea. I need to put it somewhere to keep it safe. Swissy. Yeah. Until I've decided where the hell I'm going to put it. So this is why you see huge volleys of strength and huge volleys of weakness through the Swiss franc, because people are moving money into it as a holding pattern, if you like, before they put it somewhere else, which is why it works as a safe haven. If, for example, there is an earthquake in New Zealand, money will flood out of the New Zealand dollar into the yen and into the Swiss franc because they want it out of the New Zealand for the minute because there's something until they know what the hell's going on. Then we'll put it back if we need to. So the Swiss franc will have a massive rally on the back of a New Zealand earthquake. And then when the earthquake is like, that's all right, the infrastructure's fine, there's no more quakes coming, all the electricity is okay, it didn't, none of the banks fell over, that's fine. Fine, we'll put it back out the Swissy and put it back in the New Zealand dollar. So that's why the Swissy works the way it works. Nothing to do with where it's positioned. It's nothing to do with its alliances. It's to do with the fact that it's a bank. It's the Swiss National Bank. It props up the vast majority of the economy and the GDP of Switzerland. If you're a multi-millionaire and you need to avoid tax, you open a Swiss bank account. If you're a criminal and you deal drugs in Colombia, you open a Swiss bank account. If you're Richard Branson and you own multiple businesses, you open a Swiss bank account because the Swiss will give you very, very favorable terms for your money. That's literally it. That's why the Swiss is strong. I'm not condoning any of those. I'm just using examples. That's why the Swissy works the way it works. It's just one of those places that you put money. So if they join NATO, it will have an impact on them in the fact that they will become a target for Russia, as will the rest of Europe. But they're going to become a target for Russia, as will the rest of Europe. Because if you want to go and march on France, you've got to go, Switzerland's, it's all in the same area, isn't it? There's NATO countries everywhere in Europe. If you're one of the ones in Europe that isn't a NATO country, you're going to be next door to one. You're in trouble anyway. So I don't think it'll affect it at all. But we'll see. You never know. You never know. Things change all the time. That's why you got to keep a track of everything. NQ is open. Yep, it is. Correct. We're in the Globex. Are you talking about, right, so what you're talking about is, yes. So let me just clarify why we don't trade the NASDAQ in the morning, right? The NASDAQ is a US stock market index that opens at 2:30 UK time, right? That's when the market moves. This is what we call the Globex session. Yeah, there is a system called Globex that the US trades on in the stock market out of hours while they're asleep. So it keeps stocks moving up and down while it's asleep. The market opens here. This is why that happened. The market opened. We trade when the market opens. You can't trade that because there's no volatility. You can if you want to, but there's no point because there's no volatility. Whereas if you look at the DAX, today's not a good example, but look at the volatility on the DAX. It suddenly picks up because Frankfurt's open, stock market's open. So there's no point in trying to trade the NASDAQ when there is no volatility, because if you're saying, oh, let's go long on the NASDAQ because we think we've got a long bias on it, it might do this. But then when the NASDAQ opens, it'll undo the whole lot in one 5-minute candle. That's where we trade, because I can make $100,000 in 5 minutes, or I could sit through this crap for 7 or 8 hours making nothing. Yeah. So I know the market is open. I'm not saying it's shut. The stock market, the stock exchange in New York, the New York Stock Exchange is closed. There's nobody there. Globex robots are trading at the moment. The algorithms for the banks are trading the Globex session. But you don't, if you go into any futures forums, any futures Telegram groups, Discord channels, etc., you'll find the big argument going on all the time is, do you trade Globex? Yes, because I make a fortune trading Globex. And all of a sudden they'll make an absolute huge loss trading Globex. And they go, oh, I'm never trading Globex again. It's just suicide, because there is nothing in here that you can make money on. Look at the movement, how tight everything is. It's awful. Yeah, look at what happens in New York. That's why we trade that in the afternoons, not in the mornings. But if you're saying what's my analysis on where the NASDAQ's going, up or down, I have no idea. Nobody knows, because it moves with momentum and stock purchase. And there's 100 different stocks there. Which way are all those stocks going today? I don't know. Trade momentum. Where it went yesterday, down, has got nothing to do with the direction it's going to go today. If somebody sold a load of tech stocks yesterday, What does that mean? They sold a load of tech stocks yesterday. Does it mean they're going to sell a load of tech stocks today? No, they're probably going to buy them back up again because they're cheap. Is it going to go up? Well, I don't know. It depends if the medical sector's coming down today or going up, or the motor sector's going up or down. There's too many factors for you to forecast movements on stock indices. It's not something you can forecast. Forex, we can forecast. If the economy, interest rates, inflation, and unemployment and GDP of a country is going in a direction, that has an impact positively or negatively mid to long term on a currency. Stock market, Tesla come out tomorrow and say they've actually decided not to manufacture cars anymore. They're going to close it all down and put it into rockets. What do you think is going to happen to the motor sector or the tech sector or the aerospace sector in the stock market? One company can have an impact on absolutely every stock. So you can't forecast the direction of anything because anything at any moment can happen and there's too many variables. So that's why I say the market's closed. I understand it moves, but it doesn't move properly. It moves when the stock market opens, when the brokers and the banks start to actually drive the volume through the index. The Almond KYC cryptic. Keep your chart. I don't know what that means. You're going to need to expand on that one. Dreska, yes, it's normal only for your security. Yeah, so you're talking about the broker, yeah. Good News World, gold chart, 1 hour time frame. There you go. Know your customer. Oh, is that what KYC means, is it? Are you talking to me? Kettering Yacht Club? Yep, could be Kettering Yacht Club. Know your customer. What was I talking about then when you said KYC? Am I meant to be knowing my customer? Oh, it's the practice of banks to identify their customers with identifying documentation. All right, okay, got you, fine. Fine, got you. Hang on a minute. I've just been asked which way gold's going. Let me just find out. Short today. Short gold today. DAX is stuck. So we're 20 minutes sideways now. We haven't managed to break that area to the downside. So lows are holding, but there's no buyers in the market either. So one or t'other. Baggy, have you looked at oil? I have. So oil, basically, if we're holding this market structure, we should be looking long. It's interesting. It's just started. We just had a bullish engulfing going on the 4 hour. Look. So markets opened strong on oil this morning, but it's difficult. Difficult oil. I'm not sure if this is the end of oil, not the end of oil, but the end of oil rallies, because we are really not as dependent on oil as we used to be. And even with the war and the restrictions in supply, oil hasn't managed to really benefit from it at all. Since Ukraine, we've literally not had any movement to the upside. They're forecasting 95 to 107 a barrel still, which is there to there. So that's your target, which the market expects oil to get back to this year. But, you know, the market is wrong. The market calls a bull market and it crashes. Yeah, this is what I was saying, you know, what I was saying a minute ago about the stock market. You could call the direction of anything. Your odds of it being right or wrong are 50-50. Yeah, as somebody just said, which way's gold going today? What do you think I am? Gold? I have no idea. It's going up or down. It depends on whether the US dollar is strong or weak today. That's what affects gold. So I can't tell you that because I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see into the future. From a technical perspective, if you're looking at the last 3 days, I would say you probably want to be looking for shorts. Yeah. All the way around. But if you're looking at the last on the 4-hour time frame, I would say you want to be looking for longs. If you're realistic about it, I would say you're stuck bang in the middle of a range at the moment. So I would probably leave it alone. And it's the same with oil. I really don't know at the minute, which is why I'm not getting involved in it anymore. I'm happy to analyze it, but I'm not going to trade it at the minute because I would be, if I had to, and someone said, you've got to, it'd be a long. But at the moment, midterm, it's a short. This is something that one of my mentors, the guy that introduced me to these moving averages, basically, always used to say to me was, when you're doing your analysis in the morning, open up your charts and go through them. If something looks obvious, do it. If it looks like a mess and you've got no idea, don't waste any time analysing it because you don't know. Yeah. So Aussie dollar CAD at the moment is going sideways. Which way is it going to go? Up or down? No idea. Move on. Aussie dollar Swiss is a short. US dollar yen, sideways, no idea. Aussie New Zealand, sideways, no idea. Aussie US, sideways, no idea. CAD Swiss is a short. CAD yen looks a bit more long. Swiss yen is a long. Euro odd is a long. Yeah, if it's obvious, do it. If it's not obvious, leave it alone. Yeah. And at the moment, when you look at gold, what is it? It's a long. But is it? Not really, is it? Sideways, but with a long bias. Yeah. Look at oil. What is it? Sort of short, but it's a mess. Yeah. There's no obvious trend. If there's no obvious trend and you're trying to trend trade, then leave it alone. If you are trying to pick a direction, you are a trend trader because mean reversion traders don't care what direction it goes. I couldn't give a monkeys if gold or oil or anything goes up or down. What I do is I scale in and out and make money. I don't know which direction it's going, and I don't want to try and forecast which direction it's going because if you try and forecast the future, typically you'll get it wrong. If you could get it right, you'll be a multimillionaire because you just predict the future outcome of every football result, every lottery win. You know, you can't do it. And this is no different to anything else. It's a random instrument with 2 options over time, up or down. Your odds are 50-50. Freighter Redox, good news world. On my H1, I can tell you where gold goes. It moves to the right. I'm 100% sure. Someone's been listening to me. Freighter, well done. You have learned the lesson. The market goes up, the market goes down, and it moves through time. Those are the 3 constants. They are the only 3 constants. We know nothing else. Easy explanation on indices. Trading after hours is algorithmic trading versus market orders are open. Yeah, exactly. So indices, obviously, you can trade whatever you want. I'm short at the moment on the DAX. Yeah, I'm not short at the moment on the DAX because I'm trying to scalp. I'm short because I like the fact that we've gone down and we're not able to really break this level. There's no logical reason. It looks like it wants to go short, doesn't it? If it goes above there, I'm wrong. I'll be out. If it doesn't go above there, I'll make money. I'm not trading now because it's open. I'm trading because it looks like a good short. I haven't got a clue. But if I was scalping, however, I wouldn't scalp New York. In fact, I wouldn't even scalp Frankfurt, but because it's sideways and flat. Your ability to make money in any market that you trade is dependent upon market movement. If a market doesn't move, it's very hard to make money. The New York markets during the Globex session don't move very much. they move hugely. You can see, look, New York and Frankfurt, you can see the sessions. If you look at the DAX or the S&P, you can see the session opens, can't you? They're obvious. That's really bad drawing, but you can see the market moves there. It doesn't move here. It doesn't move here. It doesn't move here. So why would you bother to trade it there? Trade it here. This is where it moves. The same, same principle as people say to me, can you filter out the news so that your EA doesn't trade the news? Why? When the news happens, the market moves. Do you want to make money, or do you want to sit there and not trade and make money? A little bit like Fidelcrest, when we were not allowed to trade the military orders without the aircraft in. You know, people in here now going, what the hell is he talking about? You have to go research that one. Pete at FX Street, a lot of Euro news this morning. There's probably a lot of little bits of Euro news, yeah. Nothing particularly impactful, though, that's going to move it. EU Commission forecasts unemployment steady at 6.8% in the workforce, falling to 6.7%. Okay. Eurozone inflation 5.8 in 2023, up from 5.6. That's not good. Seeing inflation 2024 at 2.8%. So they're forecasting this year inflation rising, which means they really have got to put the gas on the interest rates, which means bullish euro. Eurozone GDP growth at 1.1, up 0.9. Again, bullish euro. It's all bullish euro. So I mean, it's, when you're looking at the euro pairs and this drop that we had, that's unwarranted. That's the market being stupid and factoring in 4% instead of 3.75 interest rates. They just basically cocked it up and they had to correct it. So I think these are bullish. So got a short on. It is a mean reversion. So if it doesn't work out, deal with it. But which would also indicate shorts on the DAX. Lee, I'm not trading oil. Must be Monday. Yes. I'm not going to trade it. My problem, Diamond, is I say I'm not going to trade it and I'm not going to trade gold. But what people keep doing is asking me to look at them. And every time I look at them, I look at it and go, oh, that looks good. And it tempts me back in. If I didn't do the live rooms, I wouldn't even have gold and oil on this list. They wouldn't exist in my market watch. But I have them here because a lot of people want to trade them. But then again, I have to ask the question. A lot of people want to trade them, but they ask somebody that doesn't trade them for an analysis on them. Kind of the blind leading the blind. I'd go and join a gold forum or an oil forum. They know a hell of a lot more about it than I do. Would you look at the daily time frame, John? I do if I need to. I don't because it's too slow for me to trade. But if I need a level, so I use H4. So if you look at the levels on the 4-hour chart, yeah, we've got this monthly high. That's the last month's low, which we're out of the low of at the moment. We've got the weekly levels drawn on the chart. If you go back to the daily, they're all the same. So it's just that on the 4-hour, I've got all the support resistance I need on the 4-hour chart. I don't need to go out to the daily. The only time I really look at the daily is if we were to get down to here, for example, and I got a long on, yeah. So if I'm long from down there, yeah. And if I scale out on the 4-hour chart like this and go, I can't see where we're headed. I can't see the next support. That's when I come out to the daily and go, right, where are we headed? So if we've broken down here, where are we headed next? That level there. Yeah. So that's the only time I ever use the daily. If I need to find a level that I can't find on the 4-hour chart. But that's because I trade hourly and 4-hourly timeframes with 5-minute entries. So if you are trading daily with 1 hour entries, for example, so you can trade the H1, M5, H4, M15 strategy on D1, H1. So you would use daily RSI extensions. So you would have got in long there, and you'd have got in short up here somewhere. You're being squeezed. And again, this is another reason why dailies can be a little dangerous for position trading, because the targeting is intraday movement. Intraday, if something goes like that intraday, I'm in and I'm out and done. If something goes like that intraday on the daily time frame, what you're doing is absolutely nothing. And there's nothing to stop it squeezing. You see the squeezes on the daily chart from there, for example, was a short. I mean, exclude that. That was the Russian war starting or getting ready to start. Your squeezes are going to last longer and be trickier to get out of on higher time frames like this. But you can trade D1, H4. Probably not the best thing to look at. So you'd have got into extensions somewhere around here, and you'd have dropped down to the hourly time frame, and you've been looking for reversal alerts on the hour. Other than that, I don't use it because I don't need it. Rodrigo, question about H1 M4. I haven't got an H1 M4 strategy. There's not an M4 time frame, but I think you mean, I don't know what you mean. H1 to H4 strategy. You mean the RSI mean reversion strategy? Yeah. Do you run the EA on all the major and cross pairs? Yeah, you run it on anything you want to. So the dashboard, the RSI dash, is for you to find entries. So if you're running the EA, it's entirely up to you how you run the EA. Obviously, the thing you've got to keep in mind is exposure. Yeah. So if you want to run, and I've been asked a few times this recently, it's because I'm running the EA on all pairs at the moment. The EA is running on all pairs, to clarify again, so that I can see every single trade that is taken with it. Yeah. I wouldn't say to go and put the EA on every single pair unless you're going to reduce risk, and there's nothing wrong with this. So if you want to run the market reverse alerts EA on every single FX pair, do it. Just don't do it with high risk. Do it with low risk, because your exposure is going to be much, much larger. So in the bootcamp, I teach a 2 exposure rule. Yeah. So you go long on the New Zealand dollar twice. That's it. You don't go on any more New Zealand dollar. However, if you want to go long on all the New Zealand dollars, there's 7 of them. Yeah. So you need to reduce your risk that you would normally take by a factor of ideally 3, maybe 4. So if you're getting in with 0.25% risk based on half an ADR, which is what most of the set files that I've put out there are risking, and you want to trade every single instrument, drop this down to something like 0.1, 0.08 or something like that %, and then trade everything. That's fine. You're not going to get this sort of result. Obviously, this is trading the normal risk parameters, and it will work. But if you get into a squeeze on the New Zealand dollar, you're going to get hurt. However, I've been running this for nigh on 2 months now, and that hasn't got to the levels I was expecting it to get to. And I'm thinking, looking at it, the reason being is obviously whenever you're getting into an instrument like the New Zealand dollar, there's 2 currencies at play all the time. So when you're longing the New Zealand dollar like the EA is at the moment, obviously it means you've got other things short against it. So if the New Zealand dollar actually comes down and weakens, there will be something else that will weaken more than the US dollar, like the euro, for example, which means that the New Zealand dollar will actually gain against the euro. So you will actually get out of some of these. So what I'm finding is, unless there is something really catastrophic on one particular instrument, the other instruments will get you out of some of these. So your max exposure really on a squeeze probably wouldn't be more than 4. in one direction. So if you took that 0.25% risk and dropped it down to 0.12 or 0.13, for example, I think you probably have very much similar risk exposure to this, which means you'll be returning 50% of what that is. But the way that I teach in the bootcamp is, if you're going to use the EA, I think I teach this in the bootcamp. Bootcamp was done before the EA, but is when you get the extensions on RSI, yeah. So Euro US dollar is extended on the 4 hour. So go and look at the Euro US dollar and go 4 hour RSI extension. And you'd done this morning when it was extended down there. Look at it and go, yep, like the look of that. Stick the EA on it and wait for the next reversal alert to get in. Just literally get in with the market reversal alerts EA and let it scale in for you. So, but risk is entirely down to you. Anybody that's been in here for a while, Diamond, for example, will tell you that whenever you get into trouble, there's the main reasons you get into trouble are either your distancing between your entries, which is too close together, or your exposure. Those are the two main factors that cause bigger drawdown than normal. Too much exposure on one currency in one direction, or scaling into your positions too big, or using too big a lot size. So size, distance, and exposure are the three things that will hurt a position trader. And as long as you keep those under control, you'll be fine. You will get squeezed. Everybody gets squeezed at some point. You're not going to avoid a squeeze. The market at some point is going to go crazy in one direction. Size, exposure, spacing. There you go. SES. We should make a little acronym of it, shouldn't we? Daily and above, more an institutional perspective. Yeah. This is why we use these moving averages. Yeah. These are the 72 and 24 moving averages for the 4 hour time frame. For the daily time frame. So these are your quarterly and monthly long-term moving averages. So if I'm looking at the 4 hour chart, I can see that daily is bullish at the minute. I don't need to go to the daily to find out it's bullish. I can tell by the moving averages. But, you know, like I said, just because, look at the Aussie New Zealand when I last got in. I use this squeeze all the time now as an example. I got in on the Aussie New Zealand long there. Yeah. Because of that. This is why I say, you know, directional bias of what's happened yesterday, last month, last week has got nothing to do with where this thing is going today. Just because this thing's been going up like that doesn't mean it's going to do that. It's got a 50-50 shot today of being up or down. Go to your daily time frame if you don't believe me and look at the candles. Yeah. Count how many candles are on the screen, right? Then go and count how many red candles are on the screen and count how many green candles are on the screen. Then come back and tell me whether or not it's around about 50-50. What's the odds of this going up or down on any individual day? 50-50. Why would somebody try to predict the direction? Pointless. You can't. You can, there's things that can tell you that there's a likelihood something may happen, but the odds of it happening are 50-50. Whether you predict a percentage based on historical results being higher or lower has nothing to do with the outcome today. Which is why, you know, we don't have a bias, which is why the opening range breakout strategy works. Because, you know, again, someone said to me in Telegram, I've got a version of the opening range breakout strategy that works better because I use a moving average to filter direction. So it's got nothing to do with what happens in the first 15 minutes of the market open. If you're saying that it's going to go up today because the moving averages are saying it's more likely to go up than it is to go down, what's to stop the market doing that and dropping by 1 ADR and then bouncing back to where it was? How has that helped you in your trade? First of all, you either had a loss or you went into massive drawdown and now break even, and you missed the opportunity to make all the money on that short. Because your moving average told you to do something. Has nothing to do with where it's going. Moving averages were bullish here in that section. You had a bull day. If you went long that day, you lost. If you went long that day, you lost. If you went long that day, you lost. By the time you got to that day, you'd be so beat up, you'd have thought, I better go short. You'd have lost. Got nothing to do with what happened yesterday. Has got absolutely nothing to do with what happens today. Predicting the future is futile, and you will be assimilated. Sorry, I'm playing Star Trek Fleet Command at the moment. I've got the Borg on my head. Sorry, H1M5, Rodrigo, yeah. So yeah, whatever strategy you're running, whichever mean reversion strategy you're running, H4M5, H4M15, H1M5, run it on as many pairs as you want. Just concentrate on exposure. If you're using the EA on all the major crosses with a low risk of 0.1%, yeah, so that's fine. 0.1%, you will obviously not make as much money, but you will be safe. 0.1% is what I run on my funded accounts when I get them passed and I want a position trade on. So at the moment on the Fidelcrest account, I'm running 0.25 because I'm on evaluation. When I pass, I will drop to well, I say that I want to, whether they let me or not, because I've got to be within 30% of my initial, of my average risk of lots, basically. So I would want to drop it down to 0.1 to keep within the restrictions. So there's no right or wrong with anything in trading. Yeah, it's all, a lot of this is luck, isn't it? Flipping a coin. You've got as much chance of going long or short as we have anything else. Star Trek again, here we go. I don't go into Star Trek in detail. I just have it on my brain at the moment. I've just finished watching Picard. So because I finished watching Picard, I was all Star Trek'd up again. And then I thought, oh, fancy playing a game. What should I play? And then Star Trek Fleet Command happened to have an advert on. So I thought, oh, I'll do that. So I've got into a phase of Star Trek Fleet Command. That's because I've lost my Last of Us phase now because I was watching The Last of Us. So I had to play The Last of Us and Last of Us 2. So my gaming tends to revolve around what's on the telly. So at the moment, I'm Star Trek. As soon as the next Star Wars films come out, I will then be back on Star Wars again. Picard is epic. I know, it was good, wasn't it? It was very good. Oh, it's opened up 7 of 9 to be having her own series as well, which is going to be awesome. For those of you that watch Star Trek, you have no idea what we're talking about. Brian, when you get Euro Swissy depeg for 1,500 and throw everything out the window. Yeah, well, there, yeah. I mean, it's what that Swiss franc. I was in the US dollar Swiss when the depeg happened, and it's a shame Picard died, though. So now everyone that hasn't watched it is thinking, did he or didn't he? Not spoiling it. So when the Euro Swiss, when the Swiss franc depegged from the US dollar, it all went crazy, and everybody went bankrupt. So what that taught everybody was, do not trade pegged currencies because you can't unpeg something that isn't pegged. And we kind of knew that was a danger. However, everybody traded it, and that's why a lot of people didn't trade the Swiss franc because it was pegged. So the reason we don't trade the Hong Kong dollar. You don't trade pegged currencies. No point. If you want to know what pegging is, go and Google it. But basically, focus on the 28 majors and minors. You don't need anything else. Franco, I binge watched it last week. Yeah, very good. Very good. Franco's just done the Vulcan. The Vulcan salute. Right, that's all I've got for you today, this morning anyway. We've covered basically everything. Aussie New Zealand's pushing again at the minute. Much. So looking at across the board, there's not a lot moving. ADRs are flat still. There's not a lot of market movement going on anywhere at the minute. Yeah. So bit of a flat day at the minute. I should imagine early part of this week, we will probably just be sitting here today, but we'll see what happens this afternoon. Main news is tomorrow with the Canadian dollar. So seeing if anything's moving. Nothing's moving today. We've just had literally a whipsaw on pretty much everything. DAX is testament to today. Really flat as a pancake. So yeah, I'll be back this afternoon at 2:20 for the New York session. We will trade the DOW and the NASDAQ. Fidel's random news generator is clear for the day. No surprises, yeah. So there's nothing. As I say, there's no news today. So Empire State Manufacturing doesn't do anything. So I think today is down to the markets, really. If they want to move it, they'll move it. If they don't want to move it, we're not going to go anywhere. So it's just a case of waiting for stuff to happen, really. Anything that you're in is likely to just be flip-flopping around in drawdown. Doing whatever it does. So we'll wait until later. Freighter, someone who doesn't trade GJ and sounds reasonable. I'll be back. Excellent. Always good. So you're talking obviously about Raja Banks. Because that's all he trades, isn't it? Pound yen. Yeah. Anyway, I'll be back this afternoon at 2:20. If you need anything, let me know. I'll be in the Telegram group. Other than that, yeah, just keep an eye on stuff today, but I wouldn't get too excited about anything. We will obviously trade Dow and NASDAQ this afternoon. I'm just going to get the schedule done for each session. So it's a little bit clearer as to what we're doing every day, basically. And that will come up when we have the stream starting soon. And I might add it into the... I won't add it into the scroller. So yeah, so basically we'll follow the same format this afternoon, which will be basically quick look at the news, have a look at yesterday's trades, what's banked so far today, and then we'll obviously just look at the ADRs, RSIs, and do the opening range breakout. Simples, and then obviously onto any other business, like Star Trek. Right, have a good day. I'll be back 2:20 this afternoon. Anything you need, let me know in the Telegram. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Have a good one.